Let's start by taking a look how to use the fields in Maya. So before we start using the fields, I want to tear off this window and set that there. And let's create a 3D container. As you see, the emitter is not created because in the option box we turned that off. So it's not a problem. We can select that and let's go again to fields, to flute, sorry. And then let's go to add and let's click on add emitter option box and let's reset the settings. And I want to change that to volume, and I want to change the volume shape to cylinder. It's more interesting. And let's hit apply and let's move the flute to the up and let's select the emitter and move it down. Now let's select the container and let's go to attribute editor and let's set that to 50, or let's set it to 60. And here I'm gonna change the boundary X to none and the Z to none and the Y to negative Y, because I want to constrain the negative Y to the ground when I check on the auto resize. So now if I check that on and then I click on resize closed boundary to check that off, now the ground will be constrained. And let's go now to flute emitter and let's turn off the flute drop off to emit more flute. Okay, so now let's take a look at air field. So if I select the container and then click on the air, now I applied the air field on the smoke. And here you'll notice in the attribute editor I have predefined settings. So when you click on these three buttons, you see the values here are changing for you. So these are just presets for you. Here you'll see we have the magnitude. So if I increase that, for example, to 100, and notice here the direction is 1. So now if I hit play, so you'll notice now the fan affecting the flute. And if I change that to 1 and that to 0, and now the fan will affect and push the flute on x-axis. And here you'll notice we have the speed. If I increase that, this will increase the fan speed or the wind speed. And here you see we have the inherent velocity. If you animating the air, this will inherit the velocity from the air field. And here you'll notice we have inherit rotation. Let's say you have a fan and you parented the air field to the fan and the fan is rotating. So the fluid will inherit the rotation of the fan or the field. Okay. And here you'll notice we have the component only. Let me grab this picture here. And notice here on the right component only off. So as you see, the particles are slowing down after the component or the magnitude is turned off. And here you'll notice we have the component only on. So when the component is on, the particles keeps moving even if you turn that off or you turn the magnitude to 0. So that's what the component only do. And here you'll notice the spread. So if I click on that, this will create a cone for you. So if I hit play, we don't see the cone in the viewport, but it's there. And you can increase the spread too. And here you'll notice we have the distance. So use max distance is turned on. So here you can specify at which distance the air field will affect the smoke. So this is 20. So after 20 unit, the air field will have no effect on the flute. And here you can control the fall off of the max distance. And in the volume control attributes, you'll notice here we have the volume shape. You can change it to where you want, for example, to cylinder. So now the air is cylinder, and so on, torus, and so on. So now let's take a look at attenuation. When the attenuation is 1, that means the magnitude is 100 at the center and gradually is fading in the space or in the viewport. And when I set the attenuation to 0, that means the magnitude is 100 in the whole scene. So that's what the attenuation do. So that's it for this lesson. See you in the next lesson.